What it is, y'all, it is your old boy Pilk, and I'm coming back at you today with more Danmachi. I know, like it's the third video tonight. That does mean, guys, you're not going to get the notification in your sub box for the stream, but I'm going to try to start the stream as close to 10 p.m. as humanly possible, because I know you guys aren't going to be getting the notifications. So, anyway, make sure you do subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay up to date. I try to bring you guys Danmachi news every single day I can. Sometimes we slip up a little bit, but I try to bring you guys this as often as possible. Now, like I said, tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, we will be streaming. We're going to be working on S-Clearing EX. We're going to obviously be farming the new events. We'll probably be doing some summons, so stay tuned for that. But let's jump in to the before you summon video. Lego. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button too. That does help the channel out significantly. Worst intro ever. Let's jump in. All right. First things first. This is the one of the upcoming banners. I don't know if I can grab the other one. There we are. So this is banner number 1, the breeze. Banner number 2, the moon. I'm gonna guess most people are probably summoning on the moon, and as they say, the moon rules. Let's actually kick it off with the moon, because I think this is probably going to be the better of the two banners. Personal opinion. Now, we're going to kick it off talking about Lina. Lina's a very interesting unit. Her skill 1 is a self, magic, dex, and light damage, plus 60% for 4 turns. Gain 3 additional actions, foe singular, low light, magic attack with ultra critical rate. And I think I actually said yesterday, it's the first time we've seen a singular. That's actually not true. Otarl is a singular. But it is really interesting that it has an ultra critical rate. I want to say that's the first time we've seen an ultra rate of any kind, or an extra rate of any kind in this new meta. So, kicking it off with some real awesome news. And it is another light unit. We just had a really big buff to the light team. The light Haruhime is already really beefy, and so we've got some really awesome buffs to the light team. Most of our units we just got, though, were AoE. She is a single target. Once again, magic, dex, and light damage, all 3 stats, 60% to herself. So, you already know she's going to hit hard. And with that dex skill, she's going to do critical, and she's going to do counters like an absolute beast. She's going to be amazing. Skill 2 is a foe singular, and that first skill, I should say, has a 24 MP cost. So, if you have to rebuff that for that magic attack, unlike with, like, Gareth, who was the first unit to introduce this meta, and, like, you can only do his once or twice before he's just, like, completely out of steam, you could do that over and over and over and over and over again. That Gareth really needs... Like, I'm just going to say, that Gareth, if he got an MP improvement to that first skill that he got, he would be so much more viable. But anyway, 24 MP cost for skill 1. Skill 2, which is a 36 MP cost, is a foe singular fast highlight magic attack, magic resist, and light resist minus 35% for 3 turns. So, pretty awesome. And I think skill 3 was the interesting one we kind of messed up on yesterday. Now, worth noting here, before we get to skill 3, let's talk about her SA. Because in the order of attack, you're basically going to do skill 1, skill 2, SA, then skill 3. I'll explain why. SA on Lina is a foe singular ultralight magic attack with 80% per each magic buff on herself, and light resistance down 50%. Now, let me explain why you're going to do this. Not just for the light resistance debuff. Bleh. So, every time she gets a magic buff on herself, that's either her buff, Haruhime's buff, whatever it is, and the assist buff. For every buff she gets, she's going to do 80% damage. That's if you have a good... It doesn't matter. If you have any kind of assist buff, any kind of magic buff on her, that's 160% extra damage she's doing. She's going to hit like a truck. A crazy, insane truck. If you guys remember back in December, when I think it was December, that we got the Winter Aisha, literally she's the light version of that Winter Aisha. She's going to be relevant for a very, very long time. She's very good, and she's going to hit hard. Now, here's why I said skill 3 last. First of all, skill 3 is 102 MP cost, so you're going to have to kind of contend with that. Skill 3 is a faux singular. All these are faux singular. Super, and I think yesterday we said it was, we said it was highest, I think. Skill 3 is a faux singular, slow, super light magic attack. For every buff on herself, skill damage plus 80% again. Now, because she's going to hit, basically she's going to get double SA. She's going to do SA in turn 3 or whatever turn, and then she can do another SA the turn after that with this. It's not going to hit quite as hard as the Ultra, but remember, with the Ultra dropping light resistance, basically this one could almost hit harder in the right situation. If not, it's going to be really flipping close to the damage that the SA does. So she's going to do SA and then the equivalent of another SA. Because of that, because it's such a strong attack, she's going to remove all magic buffs on herself at the end of that turn. Not light buffs, magic buffs. This does mean that if you're using OG Haruhime, you have to rebuff with OG Haruhime. But even if it's her own buff, she's still going to do amazing things. These two skills are going to be disgusting, and she's going to be brutal when it comes to single target magic attacks. That's why in the video I did on the data mines, I wasn't really sure if this was going to be single target or AoE, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be AoE because of the units we just got. It could be single target, but I don't think they're quite going to do that yet. But either way, I think of any of the units on this banner, she's worth more than anybody else. Mark my words. I think Lena is the one unit, if you're going to chase anybody, you should go after. Personal opinion. Because she's going to be awesome. Now, we're talking, to be fair, check your expectations at the door. Because we're talking, she's going to be useful on Wrecker Buster. She's going to be useful on 7th Zone. She's probably going to be useful in the upcoming Familia Rush, or we haven't had a Royale in a while either. But either way, she's going to be useful in those. And that's kind of it. So, she's not somebody you're probably going to use every day. Except for, like, big boss attacks and things like that in the game. So, make sure your expectations are checked. She's going to be an awesome single target. But she is a single target. You're not going to use her every day. You're not going to use her in war game. You're most likely not going to use her in the everyday grind. So check your expectations at the door. That said, I think she's the number one on all of these banners, personally. Now, the one I'm sure everybody's going to be summoning for anyway is Haruhime. Haruhime, let's go ahead and talk about her. Oh, I didn't talk about the stats on Lena because I was stuck on the screen. Lena's stats, where is she at? Because I did these out of order. Lena's stats are HP 3645, so like I said, she might be a little on the squishy side, but with her almost 2,000, her triple S magic stats, she's going to be killing it, y'all. Absolutely killing it. And one thing to consider, before you do go chase her, she's not time limited. Not time limited. So as I'm sitting here telling you, yes, she's really awesome, she is going to be in the general pool. So if you max limit break her this banner, do understand there's a possibility, though the pool is very deep these days, there's a possibility you might pull her on later banners too. So do consider that. Just saying. Though to be fair, general pool units aren't really thrown on most of these banners. Usually these banners are like pretty much like these units. It's a tough call. It's a tough call. General pool units are mostly like your 4-star or your 4-star tickets, 3-star tickets, 2-star tickets, like the banners that we got, the double rates banners that we got for the anniversary, things like that. So they're not as common to pull, and they're a little bit harder. So there is that benefit to chasing them the first time, but they are general pool. So you can use you can't use star bonds, but you can use prism bonds, which are easily free to play obtained. Lots of things you can do, guys. So consider your options wisely, but I do think she's the top tier unit on this whole banner. That said, I'm sure y'all are going to chase Haruhime. Okay? Haruhime stats. HP is almost 4K. It's like 37.95. It's really, really, really close. She has a triple S strength stat. She's a strength type, and her agility is through the flippin' roof. Look at that. 1,134 for agility. I think that's the second highest in the game. Old girl is going first unless she's up against like Althea. Just saying. Just saying. And she has pretty good MP. She's almost got 300 MP. She's got 550 defense. She's very good. Like, she's very good. But let's go ahead and talk about what she do. Skill 1 for Haruhime is an ally's strength 30%, water damage 35% for 5 turns. Gain an additional foe low water physical attack for 2 actions. Sorry. So strength 30%, water damage 35%. Those are both 5 turns. 5. The gain 2 actions, or the foe plural low water physical attack is for 2 actions. So in other words, you basically do this turn, next turn, and then you rebuff that. Next turn, rebuff. Next turn, rebuff. If you want those extra actions, which you probably do. Let's be real. It's kind of silly they put her allies buffs out there for that much, but it is what it is. You're probably not going to use the strength and water damage, to be honest with you. You're probably using somebody else's buffs. That said, that extra action is gonna help. It's not going to be the end of the world for her, but if you're able to buff her right, it could be pretty awesome. Skill 2 is a foe's, plural. Super water physical attack with ultra uncounter and temporary strength boost. Allies 20% HP regen for 2 turns. So she's still a healer. So she's going to do damage on the first skill, heal on the second skill. Then she's going to go back and do... And remember, she's got the extra action, so she's still going to do damage with the heal on the... I mean, it's a super class attack anyway. So the long and the short of it is, turn 1, damage. Turn 2, damage with a heal and more damage. Turn 3... I'm sorry, let me take that back. Turn 1 is a buff. Turn 2 is superclass damage with an extra damage and a heal. Technically, superclass damage with a heal and extra damage. Turn 1 goes back to a buff with a damage attack. Turn 2 goes back to superclass damage, heal, and another low class damage. You kind of catch my drift? Then you kind of go back and forth like that. If you buff her every turn when she's got a 1 turn left, she's going to go back and do basically a double attack on skill 2. It's pretty awesome. Skill 3 is a foe singular. And of course, skill 1 I didn't talk about. Skill 1 is a 36 MP cost, it looks like. 38 MP cost. Skill 2 is a 44 MP cost. Now, skill 3 is a 27 MP cost. It's a foe singular high water physical attack with ultra penetration for every water buff on herself, skill damage plus 40%. That is going to go take her up to 80%. It's not end of the world. Well, 80% if she's got assist buff and an adventure buff. It's not end of the world stuff, but with the right units, it could still be useful. I think most of us are going to get her for collection purposes and probably not going to use her terribly often. She's a healer, but she's a healer with a little bit of cost. You know what I mean? Special arts for her is a foe's, plural, ultra water physical attack with ultra critical, temporary strength boost, allies water damage plus 50% for 3 turns. So that is actually handy. On the water team, she could dish that out pretty decently. But also remember, most water units probably have their own buff. So I'm going to be real. Let's be honest, most people are just going to collect her. They're going to get the one. And I don't think she's going to be that terribly useful. Could be wrong. Every other Haruhime in the game has been absolutely broken. I think this time, they're just kind of milking us for our last few pennies after the anniversary. Passives are fire resistance plus 35%, strength and agility 30%, HP and MP 8% regen every turn, penetration damage plus 15%. So, and she's an Aqua Killer, which means we're probably going to get a Familia Rush or a Royale that has Aqua as one of the effects. Let's talk about Seer. All right. That's Hestia Seer. Okay. Seer is another season. She is the assist on the banner. She's got pretty decent HP, not bad HP at all. Really good magic stats. So you're going to want to put her on a magic unit for absolute certain. She does allies magic plus 20%, light and wind damage plus 15%. So we talked about in the video this morning about the Hestia that I used that did 20%. Actually, no, I think I cut that part out. But we talked about, buffs and stuff like that in the video this morning on EX2. She does a buff, and she does a light and wind damage buff, so going to be really good for the light team. Really good for the light team if you've got a stellar light team. And bear in mind, this guy, Seer, this girl, is going to go along with Erebus. Like, you're going to use her and Erebus, like, side by side almost. So, if you got a really stellar light team, you probably are going to want her. So, like I said, I hate to say Haruhime is the bomb on this team, but I don't know how useful she's going to be. Now, if you tend to disagree with me, you think Haruhime is going to be better than I think she's going to be, maybe I'm missing someone that can buff her to hell and back, but just don't see it personally. It's just me. But I don't think anybody's going to complain because I think she's going to be the collection unit. That, I think, is the better of the two banners. Because for the light team, she's going to be absolutely critical. Even, if you pull Lena, she's going to be 100% critical. You're going to need her for Lena. Pretty sure Lena's a magic unit. I think we already went over that. Yeah, Lena is a magic unit. So you're 100% going to want her if you get Lena. So if you're hitting this banner, hit it for that. I might hit it a couple times just for collection purposes, but I don't think I'm going to go too terribly deep. Though if I'm honest, I might wail a little bit for Lena, but I'm not going to lose my mind, and I'm not going to lose all my iris. Okay, that is banner number 2. Now, banner number 1. Banner number 1 is interesting. All right, so we've got this eyes unit. Good stats on eyes. HP is almost 4,000. Her strength stat is just over 2,000. Her agility and her dex are both about even, which means she's gonna move fairly quickly. Not end of the world stuff. But she is gonna crit and penetrate pretty decently. I think that dex stat being 835 is a really high stat for dex. So I do see that being extremely useful. Eyes. Skill 1. Foes, plural. Water resistance minus 35%, so she debuffs water. Guard rate down 30%, so once again, another guard rate debuff. I find those very, very useful. Gain 2 additional actions, foes, plural, low water physical attack. Now, do you remember when that's foes, when it's 2 additional attacks, that means you're going to have to do the next turn and then rebuff. Next turn, rebuff. Next turn, rebuff. So that's kind of where I start to see these units falling apart a little bit. I don't think they're going to be end-of-the-world things in the long run. I think we're going to start getting units that do like 3 and 4 turns for those crazy actions. And then I think we're really going to take off. So I think this is like, these units are early meta. The only one I would disagree with that on is Lena. But I think these are early meta units, and I don't think they're really worth losing your shirt on, personally. I could be wrong, but that's my personal opinion. Skill 2, and Skill 1 is a 32 MP cost. Skill 2, 34 MP cost, is foes, plural, fast, high water physical attack with AoE resistance and single target resistance plus 20%. That's not the greatest skill in the world, but it is very handy. I wouldn't lose my shirt on it, honestly, but it is an additional defense buff, so she's going to do pretty decent things with that. But once again, she's really more of a support unit because she does do the debuff, and then she does this fast high water attack. She doesn't really buff herself. She's relying on exterior buffs, so she kind of relies on Haruhime to really make herself work. You know, that Haruhime from the other banner. That's another reason why I kind of think probably not the greatest banner to lose your shirt on, especially on the back of the anniversary. Skill 3, 30 MP cost. Foe singular, high water physical attack with ultra critical rate for every single target. Resistance debuff on the enemy, skill damage plus 40%. You can do, once again, assist skills and adventure skills that can go up to 80%, but once again, she's not going to do insane damage. You're not going to be using her on Record Buster too terribly often, at least. You might use her on 7th Zone, but that's honestly about it. Once again, not my pick for a wise investment, especially on the back when most of us are completely out of Iris, or free-to-play Iris at least, after the anniversary. Special arts, foes plural, ultra water physical attack with ultra penetration and temporary strength boost, water resist down 50%. That's the only thing I really like that she does is that big 50% debuff on water. That could be clutch. That could be really important to a team. Passives, fire resistance down 35%, or I'm sorry, fire resistance up 35%. Counters are water elemental damage, strength and dex 30%, which means, once again, more counters, more penetration. I'm sorry, more criticals, and critical damage is 15%. So Dex really does count for counters and a little bit for critical. With the critical damage 15%, she could be doing a lot of damage actually. And Aqua Killer, so expect that for the upcoming events. Now here's the only thing she's really good at. Damage when guarding reduced by 30%. So when it comes to war games, she'll actually be a decent tank. That said, I don't think too many people are running fire units in Wargame right now. I think she was kind of made and designed thinking that the Elises would be better than they are. And I think more people are running other teams. So I'll take your pick. I really don't think she's the end of the world, man. Might be good for a collection, and that's kind of about it. My personal opinion. Okay. Lunar Foust. All right. Lunar Foust is a skill 1. Sorry. Let's talk about her stats first. Stats are just below 4,000 HP. It's 3895. Good stuff there. Agility is really high. Over 1,000 agility is really high. Dex is pretty high too. It's 743. So double S stats in agility and Dex. Very good stuff. Triple S stats on her strength. Another reason why I think those gloves might actually be hers. MP is pretty decent. Defense is pretty decent. You know, she's kind of not... She's really good in the agility kind of segment of things. So if you're looking for a wargame unit, she's a quick unit for wargame. Skill 1. Skill 1 is a 56 MP cost. Very more on the slightly more expensive side. Allies, fast. So it is a fast rate. Counter rate and heals plus 30%. Magic resist plus 35%. Self, strength plus 65% for 5 turns. Now here's the one thing I think she's going to be good for. That kind of does take the wind out of the sails of all those magic units that were just going nuts in the last war game. That is the one thing I do think Lunar Foust is going to be really good for. Kind of reeling back in those crazy magic rush units. So she's going to be fast. She's going to come out of the gate with basically the first skill. And she's going to do counter rate and heals plus 30%. So that's going to basically, if you're running like a stall team, that is going to help those stall teams heal even better. And she has magic resistance. She's basically just negated everything that was in that last war game session. Just saying. Just saying. That said, unless you're like a wargame main, I don't see much of a point in her. Strength 65%. No water boost on the first one. Meh. Skill 2 is a foe's plural high water physical attack. MP cost 44. High water physical attack with ultra uncounter and temporary strength boost. Physical resist minus 30%. So she's going to debuff physical resist. Counter rate and heals minus 35%. So basically, if you can get that attack off, that is going to like take away the counter rate and the heals for your opponent team. So she could buff your team's ability to heal, debuff your opponent team's ability to heal. She is kind of the stall breaker. Just saying. You want a stall breaker? There's a stall breaker. Skill 3. Skill 3 is a 35 MP cost. High water physical attack with ultra critical rate for every physical resist debuff on herself. Skill damage plus 30%. Not end of the world stuff. We already talked about how that works. Special arts. Foes, plural, ultra water physical attack with ultra on guard rate for every physical resist debuff on the enemy's skill damage plus 50%. This would be pretty good. That's actually to hit pretty hard. But you would have to buff her pretty well. And that would kind of require she get that 50% water buff before she can do much of anything really too crazy with that. So I do think she's more of a conditional unit. I think she's more of a stall breaker in wargame. That's kind of about it. And even whether she's going to be worthwhile in that kind of remains to be seen, because skill 1, she kind of requires skill 1 and skill 2 both to go off. So she's going to take a very carefully built team to make happen. I think that warrants kind of its own discussion regarding Wargame for next time, so maybe we'll talk about that. I might put a roundtable together on Lena alone and talk about her. If you want to see that, let me know in the comments section. Say, please give us the Lena roundtable. We want to know what this is going to do for Wargame or something like that, so I know how to address that. Now, passives. Fire resistance plus 35%. Counter rates are water element. Strength, agility, and dex 35%. That's nice. Critical rate and penetration damage plus 10%. Not end of the world, but good. Counter damage plus 50%. So very, very, very good unit all the way around. And finally, that takes us to Hestia. All right. Decent agility stat, especially for an assist. Really good HP. But again, I kind of think she's been outclassed in a lot of her skills. When she's max limit broken, strength and magic plus 15%. Which is good that they're all three are in there. Water damage plus 20%. So I could see some really good uses for her, but I also kind of see where she might be falling apart at. It seems a little bit, it might be outclassed. Now, mostly, and I'm going to be real, most of you are probably going to use her for her water damage. That's it. It is good that she has all three of those stats in one, but I feel like the water damage is the best thing she's got going for her. So unless you really have a crazy water team you're building, probably not. But I still wouldn't pass on her. I still might try to get at least one of her. And then later on you could use Prism Bonds or Chaser. Because once again, none of these units are time limited. With the exception of the free-to-play unit. We haven't talked about her, but we're talking about summoning. So it's hard for me to say summon for this unit. But if you've got a water team, you want her. She 100% will be necessary for your water team, but is very specific to a water team. So consider your options very heavily on that. If nothing else, get one, and then you can throw Prism Bonds in later. Just saying. Now, it is worth noting, we did get information in the data mines that the Pop Stars stuff isn't here right now. I'm guessing it's going to come next week. We don't know. Nothing's confirmed, but I think it makes most sense for it to drop next week as a rerun tale. Great units, but if I'm honest, they're probably going to be super discounted, and at that rate, I think the only unit on here that kind of is going to stand a chance in the long run. I mean, they're all good. They're all good. I think a lot of us have seen them in Wargame and how good they are in Wargame, but with the new metas, I don't know how they're going to stand up to the, within a month or two if you really lose your shirt on this. They were groundbreaking when they dropped. And Line especially has found a great place on so many teams. I think if anybody here is just not going to be made irrelevant, it's that the Line, the one with the yellow hairband. She is absolutely going to be stellar for a very long time. Everybody else, man, I'm going to be real. I just don't. They're probably going to be really good for the next 2-3 months, but give them the November, December time, they'll probably be irrelevant again. So do consider that. They're year-old units. But that said, I think Line would be worth chasing if you don't have her. You see how often I use her on teams still? A year later. How often I use her on teams? Maybe save a little bit of Iris, maybe chase her, maybe save some paid Iris and chase her. Because I bet we're going to get a paid Iris banner for that. We might even get a whale box or something. Who knows? But Rerun Tale's coming. That's going to be fun. It's going to have a gacha. It's going to have more options to get 3-star tickets. Also consider that we are getting this at the end of the week. That is confirmed. It was in the data mines earlier. He's a really good assist. I use him a lot. She's a really good assist. I do see using her a lot. It wouldn't be a bad idea to drop some Iris on this one too. So if you want my honest opinion, skip unless you really need Hestia. Hard for me to tell you to skip, but probably skip, honestly. If you're free to play, it probably would be the wisest option. Save your Iris. Chase Line at least to get one bond of her because she's usually a really good sack. And maybe drop a little bit of Iris on this. Do you remember we're getting this banner later? She's really good. He's a really great assist. She's a pretty decent assist. She's more for collection purposes than IMHO. And then, of course, if you don't have OG Haruhime, 100%. If you do not have OG Haruhime, save your Iris. 3,000 Iris. You could farm that between now and then, even if you're broke. So 100%, if you do not have her, save some Iris for her. I promise you, it is well worthwhile. That's going to be the video, guys. Let me know what you guys thought in the comment section down below. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Follow my Birdman. Hit me up a Booker. I'll be back at you guys with more Danmachi here really, really quickly. And don't forget, tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern, we will be doing the live stream.